Hey there, my name is Dan. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're taking a problem that I created for myself and we are making a solution. The problem, I have this cold plunge that I bought from the pod chiller, and originally it came with, the tiny little inflatable thing that you get in, which worked great. But I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4", 210 pounds or so. So getting in and out and sitting was cumbersome and not very comfortable. So I said that the most important part of this whole thing is the pod chiller itself. The inflatable little tub is nothing special. There was nothing unique about it. It was just a device to hold water, and it had pipes coming in and out to go into the pod chiller. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make my own pod chiller. So what I did was I took a 170 gallon trough from Royal King, and I piped it in and created my own chilling system, which works okay. The problem was it was only getting down to 55 or 54 degrees or so, because it's not insulated, right? This giant metal thing, metal trough, just lets all the cold come out and then the heat comes to it. So it's not retaining. The pod chiller is constantly running, trying to chill the water, and it can't keep up. Sure, I could get a bigger horsepower pod chiller, but those are super expensive, and I'm going to try this first. So the first thing I did was I built this top, which was okay, right? It kept stuff from getting into it. Added some insulation, some foam board, so that helped, but it's still not getting down to what I want it to stay at, which is 36, 37 degrees or so. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a case that goes all the way around it that's insulated with foam board. It's going to be on wheels so I can roll it around if need be. I'm going to pipe in the pod chiller to it, and I'm going to use some better pipes because, unfortunately, if you can see here, the piping that they give you, or the connection points, are super cheap, right? Like, these are just little plastic screw-in things. So I may take this apart and see if I can make this any better. If not, I'm just gonna pipe in actual PVC or some type of insulation pipe to hold the temperature a little bit better. But I think once we get this thing done, it should definitely help keep it at a lower temperature. So stay tuned. Here we go. All right, so what I'm doing first is I'm going to measure the perimeter of this trough so I can determine how big of a rectangle I want to build around it. And I'm going to try to keep it pretty close to it because you don't want a lot of dead space where there's just air. So you want, preferably for the metal, the insulation, the outer board or the deck board, and in my case we're going to use cedar decking board. It'll help with water. It smells good. It lasts. You don't have to have pressure treated, so it'll get wet a little bit, from water splashing in and out, whatever, but it won't be bad. So we're going to measure this, and then we're going to do the bottom first, build a nice subfloor, and then build up around it. A little bit of a disclaimer as we continue on this. I am not a contractor. I am not trying to represent myself as such or as a carpenter. I grew up with a dad and grandfather who were contractors, and they both built homes for a living, so I helped them as a kid growing up. I've built a lot of things growing up, whether it's a shed or small lean-tos and tree houses and things like that. So I know how to frame, I know how to engineer just from being around it as a kid. So I'm not a carpenter. I am not a, this is not my career. I'm an entrepreneur. I own a couple businesses, so that's what I do for a living. And this is just something I enjoy doing as a hobby. Here we go. So one thing that took me a long time to learn is that even if you cut your pieces all the same, right? So these two are the same, these two are the same. That doesn't mean when you put them together, it's gonna be a perfect square. And that took me so long to learn, was that you still have to square your corners, as in make sure they're 90 degrees when you're attaching these. So what I like to do, especially with something this small, with decks and stuff, what you can do is you put the corners, you build it right, and then you can measure from one corner to the opposite corner, and then measure the opposite from there. So if that piece was against this 2x4, we measure from here to the point, and that measurement should be the identical measurement from here to here. If you do that, then you know it's a square. But for small stuff like this, I just use a speed square, and I just make sure that the angles are at 90 degree when I'm putting them together. Now, with something like this, I would normally use a framing nail gun, like a 21 degree nail gun with 3-inch nails or something like that, because we're not necessarily worried about the pulling power of something like this. So with screws, obviously they have the teeth in them, so they hold better when you're expecting something to pull away from each other. So if this were, you know, a pull-up bar, we would want screws because we're going to have downward force on it. But nails are actually stronger for sideways shear strength because the metal in the nail can bend a little bit versus a screw. So they're actually stronger than a screw when you speak of shear force coming down on it. But screws are better for pulling. So screws are overkill for this for sure. But my compressor, unfortunately, is at my warehouse, so I don't have it here. So we're just going to make do with what we have and be a little overkill, which is fine. So now that I'm done with this base, I'm going to build a little bit of joists to go in between here just to support the sheer weight of this trough, because it's 170 gallon capacity. Obviously, I'm not going to fill it to 170 gallons because that's to the brim. I would get in and it would overflow. So they'll probably end up being 150 gallons or so. So 150 times 8, I think it's 1,200, somewhere around there. So it's going to have a substantial amount of weight pushing down on this flooring. So what I'm going to do is probably one on every 16-inch center, add a couple joists here just to distribute that weight. And then we're going to put 1/2-inch plywood on top of that, and then we'll be good to go. And then we're going to start building up. Stay tuned. All right, base. We're going to chalk this out. Just going to insulate in between these joists, and then the trough will just sit on top of these 2x4s, which is fine. A 2x4, let me just show you, a 2x4 placed in a vertical position, so up and down, supports, I don't know the number, probably 10 to 12x what it does like this. So anytime you can put a 2x4 vertical and have load bearing down on it this way, it's going to be much stronger than if you are like this. So with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2x4s, and they're only, you know, probably 26, 28 inches across, this can hold well over the 1,200 pounds that we're going to be putting on it. So that's not going to be an issue. Okay. My grandfather always taught me, measure twice, cut once. I did not. So what I did was, top of this trough is 24 inches, 2 feet. I needed to come 24 inches tall, right? What I measured was 24 inches from the ground to the top, took off the difference for the wood because I wanted a total of 24 inches, took off the difference for this top board, so this left me with 18.5 inches. So from the ground to the top is 24 inches, which is what I thought I wanted. However, I did not think, because that's not what I wanted, I needed to go 24 inches up from this base to the top rail to cover the entire chiller or the cold plunge. So now I'm only going 20 inches up, so I have 4 inches of cold plunge left exposed. So these 3 2x4s that I cut for these studs are all incorrect. So there's a waste of wood. Luckily I bought some extra, so I still have enough to do what I need, but not very smart. When you're toenailing, always start the stud about 1/4 of an inch in from where you want it to end up. And the reason for that is, you'll see once I start to screw this in, it's going to push this 2x4 out. All right, next step I'm doing is cutting these deck boards. Gonna go all the way up it. After we do that, insulate the inside of it. I'm gonna have to take this off and take one of these off to get the cold plunge in first, and then put these back on. So basically it's gonna be completely encompassed, enclosed by the wood. So this 2x4 is gonna overhang about a 1/2 inch all the way around into the cold plunge. Then after we do this, I'm going to trim this, trim the top, build a door that's going to go on it with cabinet hinges so they lock open and lock shut. And then insulate that as well, and we'll be done. All right. How are we looking over here? Okay, we might be able to move that. Might be able to do something with that. Move these out of the way. Those are both gone. Maybe not. Whoa. Go with the water. Yeah. Son of a. Whew. All right. That was unnecessary. Now, the friendly legs. Oh man. I don't know about that, guys. Can we do it? That is the question. There's a lot of water still left in here. Okay. I mean, I think we call that a win. Jeez. All right, day 2. Okay, unlock them and look at that. Like butter, man. Move it all around now. Oh, you need to move your cold plunge? No problem. Here we go. Oh, you want to get a better view when you're dying in misery in cold plunge? Oh, no problem. Yeah. Okay. Great. Where's my pencil at? Oh, I see it. And now, going to make the pencil disappear.
Not 4G, dude. I wanted to make it some, you know, light, but still rigid, if that makes sense. So I think, but still gonna be insulated. Will this be enough? Well, this be enough. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I could build a box right quick. Just 2x4s. Okay, that's it for today. We'll finish it tomorrow. we're done with this step. Oh, I just want to get in my cold plunge. Oh, there we go. Climb on in. Good enough for me. Oh, wait a minute. Screwed this up. I screwed this up. All right, we're back. All that's left to do, get this plumbing done, get this chiller hooked up, and that'll be it. I got a iron remover and water softener. We're on a well. We don't typically have hard water, but figured why not. And I am waiting for a submersible filter to come in that I'll put into the cold plunge. So gonna have to open this up, go through it. I probably gonna have to pop some of these off. I hope not. That's gonna be the worst case scenario, but we'll see.
All right, time has come. We are completed. Gonna do 20 minutes in the sauna, 2 minutes in the cold plunge. Do that 2 times for a total of 40 minutes in the sauna, 4 minutes cold plunge. Contrast training helps with recovery, inflammation, mood, dopamine, all that stuff. So here it goes. It's 36 degrees. And I've noticed that the chiller turns on probably 20% of what it normally did beforehand. And before I built this, it was in my garage, but it wasn't getting below probably 56, 55 or so. And now it's 36. I think it's set at 35, so we're good. I added a pump. I don't know if you can see it by my feet, but it filters, it filters the water, and there's also a UV light on the top portion of it. That's supposed to kill bacteria, because another thing I didn't know was that bacteria actually grows better in the cold than it obviously does the heat. I kind of figured it wouldn't survive in extreme temperatures like a sauna, 140, 150 plus degrees, but I also didn't think it would survive in the extreme cold, but it actually thrives in the cold, so I thought that was pretty interesting. If you notice, I'm wearing socks. I read somewhere, and it's so freaking true, that for whatever reason, keeping socks on reduces the pain of the cold so much. Like, it still sucks, right? It's still very, very bad, and it still pins and needles everywhere. But for whatever reason, wearing socks helps so much. So I wear socks. I don't know if that makes me a little bitch or not, but it's okay. so cold. Thanks for watching.